All right, welcome everyone. Thanks for joining us. I'm Dorothy Hise, the founder and creator of Summit to Your Success, where I help entrepreneurs to optimize their business systems and processes while also optimizing their mental wellness. Thank you so much for tuning into the series called The Power of Balance. During this series, I'll be interviewing experts on the way that they bring balance to their business and practice, as well as how they use automation and self-care to their practice and business and make it very successful. This production is powered by Powerful Women Today. And of course, we're starting this series with the founder of Powerful Women Today, Dr. Carolina Billings. Carolina, thanks so much for being with us.
Oh, you're welcome. Thank you for just being so enthusiastic about the power of balance, because it's such an important topic.
Yes, it is. And it's just something I feel like is being talked about in certain circles, but maybe not very widely. And so I'm really grateful for the opportunity in this space to share this topic and also hopefully broaden the reach of the discussion and bring more awareness around it. So let's go ahead and dive in, shall we?
Yeah, balance I'm so glad we're speaking about it, especially for women, because I've seen it work both ways. On one hand, I've seen the need, as you said, that is spoken in some circles, but none in others. And then I've also seen it used negatively, if that's possible. I have seen, a lot of women entrepreneurs saying, that is a question that they take offense to it, because they say, if you ask a 5-year-old CEO, they never get asked about balance. They never ask about, their children and stuff. So it can be taken both ways. And I think I would agree with both. I'm not a big fan of the word balance,
Same.
in as much that it just reminds me of scales, right? Of duality. If one is
Yes.
up, the other one has to be down.
Mm-hmm.
When really, I lived, and I do think that when you are in the workforce, the word balance does fit in, because it's like you got worlds, right? Like you're going to work and this is happening at work, and then you get to go home and this is happening at home. And there is a little bit more of clear boundaries, if we're to call them that. But when you're an entrepreneur, or an entrepreneur for that matter, right? Somebody that's really go-getting in their life, I think is really more of integration, that you're really, it's a fusion. You may end up working, on evenings or weekends, but because you kind of have ownership of your schedule, you may get to take the morning off to go on a field trip, for example, right?
Yeah.
Things that when you are working for someone else on someone else's schedule, you do not have, and
Yes.
thus out of balance,
Yep.
right? Like,
Yep.
so it's not, yeah, I know we're getting a little into semantics, but words matter,
They do.
right?
Mm-hmm.
So I generally believe that is integration as an entrepreneur. And I am so passionate about the work that you do in representing you within our Powerful Women Today ecosystem, and as a mentor expert, is because you touch on something really powerful that we don't often speak about. Many times go-getters and high performers, there's a little bit of hiding behind work, right? Because
Mm-hmm.
it feels good, because you're good at it.
Yep.
So you want to stay there. You want to stay there for the kill. You want to stay, like in the zone, right? So is not always a noble, act, right?
Yeah.
And what I love about the light that you shine on it is that you say, okay, I'll come and optimize your business. That's going to give you X amount of, freedom, or X
Mm-hmm.
amount of
Efficiency.
efficiency.
Mm-hmm.
Now what? What are you going to do with your life? Because if you
Mm-hmm.
don't change, what
Gonna
was it,
go
that
right
quote
back.
that you and I were discussing, that
Oh gosh.
you don't rise to the level of your goals, but you fail to the level of your systems,
Yep.
right?
Yep.
And that works both at home or in your personal life and at work.
Yeah.
So what I often find, sorry, I'm going on.
No, it's okay. I'm going to jump in because you just said something. I'm going to jump in as soon as you finish this thought.
Please, yes. I just think that women entrepreneurs get asked the question about balance is because culturally, and yes, I'm framing it within the, North American,
Mhm.
kind of framework or perspective, women are still the primary caregiver of children, and women are still the people that are somewhat keeping their home together. Like if somebody walks into my home, I remember when I was married, I'm a free agent now, but in between husbands. But I remember when I was married, and I always felt that if somebody walked into my home and it was kind of like a pigsty, people are not going to say, oh, Stuart is kind of a slob. They were going to, whether I was right or not, and maybe
Yeah.
this is something that we need to unlearn, right?
Yes.
I felt responsible for it. And I felt that I was going to be the one held accountable for it, not my husband, not my child. And my names have been changed to protect the innocent. But yes, that was the ending of my point.
Well, and that's a great point. I mean, it's partially, and we've talked about this in the upcoming issue of the magazine, where it's around those cultural norms and things that we grew up with. And I think that a lot of that translates into business and entrepreneurship as well. So that's a really great point about needing to maybe unlearn it, sort of like saying
And
we
it
kind
is
of,
generational
oh, for sure, for
because the
sure.
ladies that I've seen get upset are within the millennial
Interesting.
humor.
Mm-hmm.
I have not, and that's not to say it doesn't occur or it doesn't
Sure.
apply,
Yeah.
but that's what I see. So I think
Mm.
Xers and boomers, because generations matter.
Yeah.
We're grown in a different context.
Mm-hmm.
In we all have different challenges, we all have different blessings. But I find that for Generation X and boomers, which is really the primary audience of Powerful Women today, um, we have a lot of learning to do.
Yes, yes, we do.
Yes, we do. And that's where you come in. And one of the things that I really appreciate from the work that you do is the the thought of having systems in your personal life.
Yeah. I think I've shared this with you before. You know, if you ask my husband to schedule something, he will tell you to speak to me because I'm the one who keeps our social calendar. And there's no truer system in my business that has carried over into my personal life than my calendar, because it absolutely is the thing that I don't want to say rules, but it is the thing that really does make a huge difference for me. So if something is in my calendar, it's going to happen. And that's how I hold
Oh,
myself
wow.
accountable and responsible for the things that I want to do. So back to my original question, which I was getting around to when you were finishing that thought about shifting who's responsible for the house cleaning.
Mhm.
Is how do you optimize and integrate work and life in what you do with Powerful Women today, and how you are a coach? And I know you wear some different hats, so tell us a little bit about that.
So in my particular case, Powerful Women Today began as a passion. Like it actually began just as a passion project. I never in my wildest dream would have thought I would be where I am today. So it was truly out of passion. And that is really important because I spent most of my career in the financial sector, in the C-suite. I was former CFO, CHRO, and I was good at it. I was high proficiency, but I, I would be lying if I said to someone that I was passionate about it, that
Mm-hmm.
I left work and I couldn't read enough material about it, right?
Couldn't wait to
And
get in tomorrow morning.
yeah, and you know what? There's tons of people that do. There's people that,
Mm-hmm.
that are checking the markets, like they got their finger on the pulse, right?
Yeah.
And I was good at it. I did a good job. But it wasn't until the latter years that I began to work with leadership development and more of the intrinsic soft skills and really, that's why I almost think of Powerful Women today, especially our academy as a finishing school.
Yeah.
It's only when I began to get a bit older and I saw so many people investing so much time and being unhappy and seeing their marriages fall apart and their health fall apart. And I don't mean health, listen, I'm chubby, I get it. I have a mirror. But the point is, is i- like their health being like heart attacks
Yeah.
and stress and depression and some of these things, right? And I it wasn't until I began to do my passion work that I knew what passion was. And that is when really the boundaries and the balance, the wheels came off because I just couldn't get enough,
Mm-hmm.
right? So I almost probably went a little overboard, so much so that when I took a sabbatical, right? When I took a sabbatical to finish my master's and start my PhD, and a lot of the ladies that had attended the conferences that were live at the time came and said, "Oh, would you coach me? Would you, do consulting for me? Do you help me grow my career?" And all these things, right? That I thought, maybe I can grow a business out of this, right? It's like maybe I get to monetize my passion. Like how brilliant is that? And it became this true integration. So that being said, you know, the fundamental question for me in preempting to my answer is there the right time to start a business? No. Is there a wrong time? Yes,
Mm-hmm.
absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
And it goes back to competing demands, right? The reason, and again, my perspective, I'm
Mm-hmm.
extremely respectful of everybody else's perspective. In fact, that's one of our core promises of Powerful Women today.
Yep.
But, at the time that I was able to go to school full time to do my PhD, my doctorate, work full time to grow Powerful Women today, right? I'm a free agent, so being still, I have a grown adult child, but we're roommates. I'm still taking care of my property. I'm still, the sole architect of our life at home.
Mm-hmm.
Um, is because I don't have competing demands. It's because I do not have, young children. It's because I don't have a relationship that I need to nurture and cultivate so that it succeeds, right?
Mm-hmm.
So it became, now I've done it, I've done it for many years. So I just happen to be at a point where it's all about me. And I'm grateful that what I do is about helping others, right? So it's not a true narcissistic endeavor. But I have to tell you the amount of hours that I get to, because it's an honor, right? To get to
Mm-hmm.
monetize your passion. The amount of hours that I spend borderline, sometimes I do question it. I do question it,
For
right?
sure. For
And
sure.
then I feel the burnout.
Mm-hmm.
And and there's been many times that, you and I collaborate a lot as one of the, leadership within Powerful Women today, that you call me out on it. You
Yeah.
said,
I know it's late.
yeah, are you okay? It's like this, I know it's Saturday, I know it's Sundays, and
Mm-hmm.
technology makes it so easy,
And
right?
the
It's like, oh, it's
pandemic
just
brought that
one
even
more
more.
email. Oh, it's
Mm-hmm.
just one more text, right?
Yep.
And so I think so that's how I do it.
Mm-hmm.
I love it. I wouldn't have it any other way, you know? But I am also in a position where I don't have competing demands for it. So
Yeah.
I think and that's why working with coaches and mentors is so important,
Yeah.
because it's easy to get back to what I said, right? A lot of high performers, we hide behind what feels good.
Yeah.
Is there other things I could be doing in my life? Like, I don't know, maybe exercising more or like doing different things? Absolutely.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's just easy to hide. So I think working with a peer mentorship group, working with coaches, other entrepreneurs, somebody that will hold the mirror to you and say, you kind of look exhausted,
Maybe you need to take a
He's
little
like,
time
maybe
off.
you need to take a break, or you seem a little edgy, right?
Hmm.
Like, is everything okay? And
Yeah.
in being a safe enough space that you can say that and know that it's a trusted, psychologically safe space.
Yeah.
So whomever's calling you out on it is doing it in service.
Yeah. And
That
from
takes
love.
a lot of maturity, you know?
It does. It does. And I would also say to that, when I start with a lot of my clients, and not with a lot, when I start with my clients, one of the things I ask them is, do you prefer a loving nudge or do you prefer a swift kick in the pants for, the way that I show up to hold you accountable? And the reason I do that is because I want to show up in that space you're talking about. I don't want to come at somebody who wants a loving nudge by kicking them swiftly in the pants, because that's going to be a nervous system shock, and it's not going to be of
Yeah, and you don't
service.
want to trauma, like they're already
No.
struggling. You don't want to go so hard that you're adding like layers of pain to this
Exactly.
poor person, right?
Causing more
It-
stress.
Correct. That is, and they often say in coaching, that the coaching occurs in between sessions. And that is usually because, especially for, we use a lot of communication styles in our, to be better coaches. When you're working with C-suite kind of high achievers, CEOs, right? Because there's entrepreneurs and there's CEOs.
Mhm.
And in my world, I wish all entrepreneurs were CEOs and that they saw themselves with that executive presence. Um, Sometimes when you call them out on something, they'll fight back or they'll get defensive, or, it's like, you don't know what you're talking about, right?
Mhm.
But I do believe that it kind of bounces in their head afterwards. I know it happens with me, right? It's like,
Yeah.
the truth will set you free, but first it will peeve you off. I think
Exactly.
it kind of bounces around and it's like, darn it, right? Or you
Yeah.
begin, or just because somebody brought it to light, um, you become more aware of it.
Yeah.
So and that is balance. So you see, balance is not is having those systems, which is where you come in place, so that there's safety triggers
Yeah.
along the way, not just for the technology, but for the human part
Yeah.
of it.
Yeah, for sure. So I feel like we kind of touched a little bit on this question. I'm still going to ask it because I want you to share more about it. And that is, what fuels your passion for,
Mm.
I know a little bit, and I would love for the audience to hear more about this. So how would you
Yeah.
answer that one?
So Powerful Women Today, as I said, began as a passion project, right? So the first 5 years, we were, championing, empowering women's emotional financial independence, right? And yes, there's evidence to it, everything that we were saying, but it was really from I don't want to say emotional, but yes, from an emotional raw need, right? And then when I had the opportunity to begin my doctorate, and I had the blessing of being able to do the pilot, the lab work based on Powerful Women Today, right? On our
Mhm.
entrepreneurial and leadership development program, our PWT 10X. And I was able to really test it. Like, I knew it could work. I knew it would work, especially because it's modeled after supply chain and aggregate procurement. It's not like, I'm reinventing the wheel. I was just reinventing the application of it, right?
Yeah.
And so when it began, because the first years of entrepreneurship are tough, right?
Hmm.
And I would think that most entrepreneurs, as you're kind of working, am I on the mark? Am I, you know what I mean? Like, who am I? Like, that's like, your imposter syndrome, right? So it was like, especially if you've lived all your life in corporate, now, like, who are you to be leading the world on something, right?
Yeah.
So when we began to develop the pilot under academic evaluation, under peer review, under lab work, under validity, reliability, methodology, and it became codified and tested tested and true, and using technology, using AI, and using machine learning modeling to prove that what we were saying works, right? That fuels my fire. Because now I know that I'm going through the world saying, listen, the modeling says this works. You
Mhm.
work the program will work for you. Evidence-based, not ego-based,
Yeah,
which a lot of, business coaches and a lot of leadership coaches are, like, my method works because I say so. Right? People
for
that don't
sure.
have any knowledge or experience in curriculum development, or they don't know about auto learning, or they don't have the training, especially now with generative AI. Really, anybody can type a course outline and syllabus and pretend that they are anything, right?
Yeah.
So to be able to really serve with almost a guarantee, it's like, if we do our part and you do our part, like, it's formulaic, right? Like, you will
Hmm.
succeed. That fuels my fire, because
That's
I
awesome.
was able to successfully defend my dissertation based on us, based
Yeah.
on, you were part of it. So
Yeah.
based on all 25 of us showing what can be done with a proper methodology to entrepreneurship, a proper methodology to go to market in today's day, using
Hmm.
technology, using generative AI, using leveraging the aggregate. Don't go at it alone, whatever you do, right?
Yeah.
And yes, organic, but it kind of, in my heart, brings both of the things that you're trying to spread the message to the world, that you need
Hmm.
systems, right? Which
Hmm.
we bring, and you specialize even at the micro level, right? Because we
Hmm.
don't do that. You do that. That's why you're our specialist. But you also need to deal with the person,
Yeah. Yeah.
because you need to mature. You need to develop those soft skills. You need to develop that thick skin. You need to,
Hmm.
and that's why, to not to betray the sisterhood, men, a lot of more often than not, are better at entrepreneurship than women.
Yeah.
And it's because they innately have that competitive, that thick skin, that focus, that, because they're not worried about balance, because somebody else is taking care of the house and children and things, right? But that's the reality.
Yeah,
That is the reality.
it
And
is.
and you are where you're meant to be when you wake up tired. And then when I wake up tired, right? Because I don't wake up like this, right? Like, you wake up, you're tired, you're cranky, you're exhausted, you're stressed, you're,
Yeah.
whatever. And then the Zooms, the calls begin to happen, and I begin to speak about what we do, and I begin to, work it. And then the energy goes through the roof.
Hmm. Yeah.
That's when you know you're in your zone.
Awesome. So I'm watching the time and I know we have just a
Yes.
few minutes left.
Yeah.
So I want to know why what you do in Powerful Women today and what you're putting out in the world. Why does that matter? And what is it that you feel that people are missing out on?
Great question. As I said, we focus on Generation X. So it's not a hard cutoff, but I mean 45 plus, right?
Yeah.
Um, we have so much unlearning to do.
Mhm.
And the world's moving so fast, right? That, before used to be, you know, changing the world. And now is at the speed is moving, really, I will die happy if we've helped women stay on track, right? Like, not be left behind. Never mind changing the world. Just if we can manage to help everyone
Yeah.
keep up in a humane way, you keep up in an emotionally fulfilling way, right? Because we only get one life.
Yeah.
So, to be able to stop the gaslighting on women, that when you have an idea, walk into a place that people are cheering you on. And I remember I used to say, this is, when I started, I used to say that Powerful Women Today, my vision for it was a place where if you show up with your greatest ambition articulated, right? And you're like, I'm here to take over the world. And, our team goes, great, so are we. It's like, how are you doing it? Because this is how we're doing it, right?
Yeah.
And there's that belief, like, I believe in your dream.
Mm-hmm.
And to feel that is the highest high. To have people that are responsible. If somebody comes, it's like, I want to open a popsicle stand in Antarctica. And that's where we lean more on the corporate and academic, right?
Mm-hmm.
Where, if there's a misguiding somewhere or a non-alignment or non-monetization for that matter, we're able to help people discern what's real, what isn't, what's doable, what isn't, or how do we do it,
Yeah.
right? How do we get to monetization? Because for every time somebody said that's not going to work, there's like somebody flying by you making it happen, right?
So true.
So
Mm-hmm.
it's really, when people say it's impossible, it's like, no, you just don't know how to do it. And that's
Yeah.
okay,
Yeah.
and that's okay, right? It's my
Yeah.
job to figure it out. So.
Yeah.
That's Powerful Women Today, and I am so grateful to share this journey with you and with all of our mentor experts and all of our audience. And we touched in the last 3 years, we just did the count. We touched over 1 million people through social media, and
So awesome.
here's to making it 1 million a year or 1 million a month, right? Like,
Yeah.
is the world needs positivity, and they need
For
a
sure.
place they can trust, and that's what we're here for.
And that's what this space is. And I'm grateful for you creating this platform for not only me, also for other women. And we have some allies in the community. So we do have some men.
We have several, yes.
Yes. And so I also wanted to mention that we'll include a link to our network where people can see this recording on demand as well as others in the series. And then is there anything else that you wanted to include as far as like a special offer or anything like that?
I would say, you know what, join a network. It is, choose free, right? Like,
Mhm.
everybody can come. There's so many giveaways and there's so many, resources, and it's a great place to start today.
Yeah.
So my gift is removing barriers to entry and success. Is free. So that's a good place to begin.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much, Carolina. I appreciate you taking the time, helping us kick this series off, and we'll be back with another installment of The Power of Balance. And we'll be talking more about automation and self-care and business and in practice. And we'll see you in the next episode. Again, this episode was brought to you, powered by Powerful Women Today, and we'll see you in the next episode.